All right. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to our first webinar for the 2022 ELCA Youth Gathering. My name is Justin Wilson, and I serve on staff with the gathering. With me, we have Jennifer Schultz, who serves as the team leader for the volunteers team, and she has a ton of great information to share with you this evening. A few quick things before we get started. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to use the Q&A feature at the bottom of Zoom, and we'll answer those all at the end. If you run into any technical issues, just let us know and we'll try to help you as the best we can. One last thing before we get started, we wanted to give a special thanks to the ELCA Foundation for sponsoring our Zoom webinar series. The Foundation's ministry is to help congregations and individuals make an impact in the world. One of the ministries of the Foundation is providing socially responsible investing for ELCA congregations and ministries, which follow the guidelines and priorities of the ELCA. If you or your ministry would like to learn more about their services, we encourage you to visit elcafoundation.org for resources and information on how to contact your regional gift planner. With that being said, I will pass it over to Jennifer.
Thank you, Justin. As Justin said, my name is Jennifer Schultz, and I am serving as the team leader for the volunteers team for the 2022 gathering in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And you can see the theme, Boundless, God Beyond Measure. And we're going to have a PowerPoint, and then we'll have some time for questions and hopefully some really good answers to those questions. So the overall volunteers team's purpose is really to serve the gathering in a whole bunch of different ways. We're asking that volunteers be committed to serve gathering teams, the ministry partners that will be part of the gathering, the participants, that includes the youth and the adult leaders, the hotels that we'll be staying at and being at really, and the communities that we'll be serving and coming together in. And there are 3 different volunteer opportunities. So there's a lot of acronyms, and so we kind of hopefully spelled it out for you a little bit in this slide. The Gathering Volunteer Corps, also known as GVC. There are the local volunteers, sometimes referred to as LV. And within the local volunteers, there's also something new this cycle for the local volunteer hotel hospitality. And we're going to go through each of these different categories, so don't worry about that right now. And then the third is servant companions, and this is specifically for young adult, 19 to 30-year-olds to serve the gathering. And you can see that there are a couple of different sets of dates there. May 22nd on Saturday, this Saturday, the GVC and the local volunteer applications open. And the servant companion applications open later this year, November 22nd. So the Gathering Volunteer Corps, GVC, they are groups of volunteers that serve on teams of 10 to 20 plus people in assigned areas that could include Synod Day, interactive learning, service learning, safety and security, transportation, operations. And that certainly doesn't limit the volunteer capacities to these, but these are areas that they have served in the past. And at times, assignments can change last minute, even day to day. So we really ask that volunteers be flexible. And then all the GVCs will serve in the evenings at mass gathering as safety and security. And here is one of our GVCs from 2018 sharing a little bit.
Hi, my name's David, and I just wanted to share my experience about the last youth gathering in Houston, Texas, where I volunteered, and it was amazing. I wouldn't have traded that experience for anything else in the entire world. Not only was it super fun being with other volunteers from all over the country, many that are still friends today that I keep in touch with, but being in that energy and seeing all these youth from all over the country come together and just really be inspired by what the church will be in the future. It was an amazing experience. I can't wait to do it again. I know that anybody that chooses to volunteer will have a blast and will not forget it for a moment. So, yeah, cheers to that.
Thank you to David for providing that video. And the second group of volunteers are the local volunteers. And so they live within a commutable distance from gathering venues. So basically in and around the areas of Minneapolis, St. Paul. You do not need to commit to serve for the entirety of the gathering. That's one of the benefits and unique opportunities for a local volunteer. And oftentimes you will serve in many of the same areas as GVCs, as was listed in a previous slide. And we now have a video from a mother and son team from 2018 as well.
Hi, I'm Eric, and this is my mom, Kathy.
Eric and I served as local volunteers during the 2018 National Youth Gathering in Houston.
We volunteered in a variety of roles, acting as transportation for the youth, as well as doing a lot of other things like commuting all 30,000 of them in a large stadium.
We met people from all over the country, got to hear their stories about their journey to get to the gathering, as well as their experiences during the gathering, which were really inspirational.
It was wonderful to get to see a large group of youth that all came to our town and to have that many people so close to us that share our faith.
It was an amazing experience for us, and we highly recommend it.
Thank you to them as well. And we wanted to share those videos just to give you a little glimpse of some past gathering volunteers, their experiences, so that hopefully will inspire and encourage you to consider applying. And then another opportunity is local volunteer hotel hospitality. And for those of you who might have served as a volunteer in the past with the gathering, this is a new opportunity under the volunteers team. So we are going to be looking for kind of local-ish volunteers who serve throughout the gathering. So you need to be available throughout the entirety of the gathering, and actually even a day prior to the gathering beginning for some training. And you will really serve as kind of the face and the voice of the gathering in the hotel spaces. You'll be the liaison between the hotels and the participants and the gathering. We ask that you be a hospitable presence to give a patient, confident and helpful information to participants and hotel staff. And we ask that you be a consistent presence in the hotels, especially in the mornings and the evenings as the groups of participants come and go from the hotel. Another opportunity that will be part of that is you will manage gathering check-in at the hotels. So you'll be distributing wristband materials and guidebooks, and really just being a welcoming presence on behalf of the gathering to the gathering and to the hotel. And you will also probably have opportunities to serve in other areas of the gathering as well, but really the main responsibility is to be there for certainly in the mornings and the evenings in the hotels on site, again, to welcome people in, welcome people back from their days. Some things to note, especially again, if you have served in the past as a volunteer, we have recognized that we do not want volunteering to be a financial hardship for anyone that is interested. And so the application fees have been eliminated for this cycle for all volunteers. And while you are on site, again, this is something new. The gathering is going to provide airfare for GVCs. Again, those who are not considered to be local volunteers. We will provide ground transportation while you are at the gathering. Lodging in a hotel with a roommate. We'll provide meals for you and t-shirts, probably 2 t-shirts, depending on where you are serving. And then any other kind of necessary materials that you would need to serve as a volunteer. Some of the requirements we ask that you be at least 1 year out of high school at the time of the gathering. So in other words, of July of 2022. And we are cognizant that these are long days and it can be hard on a person's body. So we ask that you be in good physical health. And we ask also that you stay in really good communication with volunteer leadership via email, cell phone, text, maybe even calls, and maybe some other platforms that we'll be setting up as well. The communication is so key, and we really need our leadership to stay in good communication with you so that you can be well prepared to serve as a volunteer. Some important dates to remember. So this will be available for you as well, but if you happen to have a pen and paper or maybe your calendar app open, this might be the opportunity to grab that really quick because these are important dates to remember. So as I mentioned, the applications for GVC and local volunteers opens this coming Saturday, May 22nd. And for GVC, it will be open through July 22nd, and then those applications close. For the local volunteers, oh, there's a mistake on there, sorry. It should be May 22nd, and really up to our capacity. We have a number in mind of how many local volunteers we think we need. So it's May 22nd through our capacity. And for GVC applicants, we are expecting that by August 22nd of this year, you will be notified of your acceptance or to see if you'd be interested to serve or to be on a waiting list for GVC. And then here are the really important dates that you need to mark on your calendar right now, really, because we're asking folks to give their time and their energy and enthusiasm, but also really their time as well. And so we want to make sure that you have these dates. So for GVC volunteers, you need to be on site in Minneapolis and ready to serve beginning Friday, July 22nd through Thursday, July 28th, which is the ending of the gathering. And for the local volunteer hotel hospitality specifically, you will need to be on site in Minneapolis to serve Saturday, July 23rd through Thursday, July 28th. So there's a day of training, a couple days of training for the GVC volunteers, and 1 day of training for the local volunteer hotel hospitality before the gathering begins. And then we all serve until July 28th. Some other things to take note of: there will be multiple gathering volunteer core webinars from the fall of this year to spring of 2022, and some similar opportunities for online and possibly in person for local volunteers and local volunteer hotel hospitality. We really want to try to do a lot of training ahead of time because we're not on site at the gathering for too much time prior to the gathering beginning. And so we really want to do a lot of nuts and bolts before, if we can. And so we'll be scheduling those as well. And this is what our hoped for number of volunteers, just to give you a little bit of an idea at this point. For the GVC, we're hoping for 175. For local volunteers, 200. For local volunteer hotel hospitality, 190 people. And so with these numbers that are listed that you can see, as well as the core team and the secondary team of the volunteers team, we could be close to 600 people. So it's quite a large group. And we need your help. If you can help spread the word that volunteer applications open on May 22nd, 2021. And again, that the GVC applications are accepted the 22nd through July 22nd. And that local volunteer applications are, accepted May 22nd through capacity. And again, just to note, in the past, serving companion applications were open in the same time frame as GVC, but that has changed for this cycle, and serving companion applications will open later in the fall in November 22nd. And so if you happen to already follow the gathering on different forms of social media or checking out their website, again, if you have social media or even word of mouth or advertising, if you want to go ahead and advertise things, that would be wonderful. Again, it's really easy to click and share what something has already been posted. So that's a wonderful way to get that word out. And then here are, speaking of all of those social media sites, there are the ways that you can follow along or get in touch with the gathering. And we encourage you to participate in any way. And we are so grateful to have you joining us for this webinar and for your interest in serving the gathering as a volunteer.
Awesome. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
I will also add that we are utilizing a brand new registration system for our volunteer applications that go live on Saturday. So bear with us. We've tested it a ton of times. So hopefully, fingers crossed, there's no issues. But just in case you run into anything, just email us at gathering@elca.org and we'll be able to help you out with that. So now we'll go to the Q&A section. We have one question so far. So if you have anything, put it in the Q&A feature at the bottom. What is a servant companion?
So a servant companion, I'm going to speak from the past, and we anticipate that they'll serve very similarly this cycle as well. They are specifically young adults, 19 to 30-year-olds, that will accompany the participant groups going to service learning sites. And so they will accompany them physically. They will have some communication with the participant groups, and they're just kind of really serving alongside. And again, almost that liaison between the gathering and the service learning participants. That's how I would describe it.
Let's see. What are like some examples of work that GVC members would be doing?
Oh, there's lots of examples. I'll just give you a few. So many of our, well, they're just utilized in all different areas. They could be helping with transportation. They could be helping in the interactive learning areas. So maybe helping the different ministries and vendors that are there if they need volunteers to help with different things that are going on there. Some might provide safety and security during the day, so not in the mass gathering in the evenings, but around the different properties that we will be using, that will be really occupying throughout the gathering, so during the daytime. They could be helping with Synod Day things. I know last cycle they helped with getting things prepared in the morning for Synod Day for participant groups to come. Those are just some of the examples. I mean, there's many, and again, like I said, some things just are on the fly. I can remember from Houston, one of the projects was blast off for books, and so we had volunteers who were willing to help move, literally physically move books from one part of NRG to another. And so even something like that, we could be looking for people to help with. So there's almost like an infinite number of possibilities of what you could do, but those are some examples from the past.
Great. If our synod is not anywhere near Minneapolis, do you think we need to tell our folks about the local volunteer opportunities? I'll answer that. I mean, the power of social media is crazy. So you might not know that, or when you're sharing it on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, it could be seen by people in Minneapolis. So it's always helpful to share it. I don't know if you necessarily need to include it in like an info session, but definitely helping us get the word out is appreciated. Let's see, would we be working all day on the last day and then traveling home that day, or expected to travel home on Friday?
So again, what the plan is that once worship is over on that, on the 28th of July, then if there's any last minute sorts of things as far as maybe helping to clean up a little bit or just organizing, but for the most part, you're probably your responsibilities end for the most part, pretty much as soon as worship is over, after you kind of turn in your radio, if you needed one of those, as safety and security. There will be some specialized volunteer opportunities where you might stay a little later that day, but for the most part, you will be released from your volunteer duties, responsibilities once worship is over. And realistically, you can stay longer if you would like, but the gathering covers the hotel, expecting that you would check out on July 28th, so the last day of the gathering. If that helps, that clarifies things.
Let's see, can we request to work with a friend as volunteers?
You know, it's one of those things that it can be a difficult thing to try to accommodate all the requests. I'm not saying that you can't put in a request, but just maybe understand that we might not be able to accommodate it fully. And partly, even if you're serving on the same GVC team, because we're divided into teams, even if you're on the same team, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be working in the same space. And so again, we really try to ask people to come with an open heart and open mind and just be flexible in all the ways that you might be asked to serve.
What time does registration open on Saturday and where do you access it? So it'll be up by 9 a.m. Central on Saturday, and you can go to elca.org/gathering/volunteer. That'll take you straight to the volunteer page where you can apply. Will servant companions also get airfare like GVCs? Yes, you will. Lots of questions here.
Well, I should clarify something about, I forgot about this for the airfare. We have, the volunteers team has an administrator as part of the core team that will be making reservations for people. So you will not be making reservations on your own. Eventually we'll be putting out, you know, some sort of a questionnaire asking for information from you with your travel dates and that kind of thing. So we will be utilizing our person, our administrator, to make those reservations for you.
Do GVCs need to be 19 through 30 as well? No, that is just for servant companions. You just need to be 1 year out of high school for GVC. Let's see. How much of a commitment do you need from local volunteers?
Again, that can really vary. If you are a local volunteer and not a local volunteer hotel hospitality, that's a big difference. Local volunteers, we've had folks come and volunteer for 1 day, maybe a few hours of 1 day. Some have worked for multiple days and multiple shifts. So it's really kind of up to you. That's one of the unique opportunities about being a local volunteer, is that it's very flexible. There are local volunteer managers that will work on scheduling folks for the different needs. So really it's kind of up to your schedule. And again, we will want to know ahead of time what your preferences are.
Same topic of local volunteers. If someone lives 30 minutes from the city, is that defined as a local volunteer?
Yeah, I think so. Certainly, we say commutable. So in other words, as a local volunteer, we are not going to be providing housing for you. If you are serving during a typical meal time, we will provide a meal, whether that is catered or maybe like a debit card that we might be utilizing as well, but we're not providing housing. So that's the idea of the commutable, local, drivable distance. So you don't want to be, I grew up in Minnesota, so you don't want to be, you know, up to the Canadian border and consider that local. That would be a long commute.
Yes. How long are the shifts for local volunteers, and are they able to attend mass gathering in the evening?
So again, the shifts are flexible. I mean, I would certainly, I think it would be worth your while, certainly, and really a good resource or a good stewardship of gathering resources to serve more than an hour. I would say at least 2 to 3 hours, if not maybe 4. And part of it will depend on where you are placed, what the need is. There are different shift lengths for different opportunities. And in the past, local volunteers have been able to come to the mass gathering in the evening of the day that they have served. So we will work on that as well and try to make that possible, because I know that's a big draw for folks.
We have a question. Why is the youth gathering scheduled for a Sunday through Thursday this time around? The past few gatherings have ended on a Saturday or Sunday with worship. Is the gathering beginning with worship on Sunday? No, we're gonna kind of follow the same schedule that we have in the past. When we postponed last summer, Minneapolis gave us this as dates for when the major venues are available. And so we took it because that was all that really was available. And also it's great that it kind of fits in 1 week. So we're kind of being good partners with our outdoor ministry friends. So staff that would be attending as volunteers wouldn't be missing 2 full weeks of camp, just 1. So that's why there's a little date shift this cycle. Can you request a roommate?
In the past, you've been able to request as long as the other person, the name that you're requesting, also requests you. And again, our administrator is going to be seeking information out for those who are accepted as GVC to work on that. So yeah, that is a possibility.
What suggestions do you have for people that might be interested in both gathering volunteer corps and servant companions, kind of deciding which one?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, especially since the time frame is different. I think part of it is I would do a little bit more research perhaps on the website and looking at what servant companions really are asked to do. It's not that they're totally different, but they do have different responsibilities. I'll say again, this is speaking from the past, is that one of the things as they serve with this service learning groups that go out to the different sites, and then for their gathering afterwards, after their day as well. One of the big things for GVC is that they serve as safety and security in the evenings at mass gathering, and servant companions don't have that responsibility, but they do have a different set of responsibilities. It might even require like an earlier morning than some of the GVCs because of the service learning responsibilities. So maybe if you're, not that it's as simplistic, but maybe if you're more of a morning person and you're within that age category, maybe you might consider servant companions, or working even more directly. You're going to be working really pretty directly with the participant groups. And so that might be of a draw for folks as well. So I think try to do a little bit more looking on the website to see what the different responsibilities are, and then I guess pray. And you could certainly apply for GVC, and then depending on how that turns out, I guess we just don't really know. We're doing things a little differently this cycle. And so I would encourage you to just try to look and see what you think would fit you the best and what your interests really are.
So are there openings for volunteers for our pre-events, mile, and the table? So the application, there isn't really an application process for mile and the table. If you're interested in volunteering through one of our pre-events, just email us gathering@elca.org and we'll get you in touch with those planning teams. Let's see, a few more. If we have pastors, chaplains, deacons that are interested in volunteering as chaplains, should they register as GVC, or is there another opportunity for those specific roles?
Well, again, it's something that's changed from the last cycle, is that the chaplains used to be under as part of the volunteers team, and they are now under safety and security. And so I guess safety and security would be the folks to contact, but I don't know if they're looking for volunteers to serve that way. I just don't know. I guess I can't speak to that.
If you're interested, just email us and we'll pass it on to the team. Email us all your questions and we'll figure it out. Do servant companions get airfare, transportation, lodging, and meals? Yes. Let's see, we're down to just a few. What time on Friday are GVCs required to arrive? Is there transportation to from airport?
Yes, we're asking folks to be in like our hotel, which we haven't secured finally yet, so I can't announce that, but wherever we are, to be there by 4 p.m. Central Time. And so that should give folks, good, for some people it might require an earlier, longer day depending on where you're coming in from, but we're asking people to be there by 4 p.m. that Friday.
And the last question, if we get a ton of applications for GVC, what are some things that we would be looking for that would improve our chances of being selected?
Oh, for me, speaking, because we often do receive more applications than we have spaces available, which, can be concerning, because we know that we are probably turning down some really capable, wonderful, enthusiastic folks. We just can't accept everyone. I wish we could. But I would say, and I don't know how this comes across on an application, but if you know that you would be willing to be, and again, I'm going to say this over and over again, flexible, because we have to be flexible in so many different ways, not just as volunteers within the volunteers team, but to be flexible with all of the people that we're interacting with participants, with hotels, with security that might be not part of the gathering, but security at some of the spaces we might be at, even just walking around the city, being around the city, that presence. So I guess if there's a way to indicate that somehow, that you have a willingness to be flexible and know you, and hopefully you're being truthful in that, because it is the most wonderful experience, but it can also be a stressful experience. And so we want people to be fully informed as much as we can, and prepared and trained prior to the gathering. And so I think just that willing heart is really, really key.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in this evening. If you have any other questions, be sure to email us and we will get back to you. And with that being said, we will see you next month for our Getting Ready Material webinar. We'll be giving a sneak peek at the resource, so make sure to sign up for that. Have a great evening, everyone.
Bye, thank you.